I'm Gia. It's so amazing to
Hi.
meet you. Hi.
Yeah, good to meet you.
And this is David.
I'm
Um,
David.
yes, and so we've interacted a little bit on Instagram. Thank you so much for always like replying to our stories that we tag you in.
Well, it's fun. It's fun to have all these years later to find people who discovered us. You
Oh
guys are in
yeah.
your 20s, right?
Yeah.
Yes, for
Yeah.
25. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like, you're the Hamilton generation. What the hell are you doing?
Right.
Being interested in Jersey Boys.
Well,
Oh my God.
Jersey Boys is what made us want to get into theater in the first place, and we both saw the second national tour in 2012. We're South Florida kids, so that's our
Okay.
whole thing, and now we live in the city.
Yeah.
Which is, yep. So we're here trying to make it, and
We're grinding.
I know.
Grinding
So,
away.
well, I remember those years. I'm in South Florida a lot.
Really?
There
Where?
we go.
I have a lot of friends in South Florida and in Boca and Palm Beach and Jupiter.
I'm from Boca.
Oh, yeah.
There
Yeah,
you go.
Gia's from
Yeah.
Boca, and I'm from Miami.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
I have a friend who went to the St. Andrews Prep School,
Yes.
and
I'm on the corner.
yeah, and another friend who's a famous songwriter for songs probably definitely before your time, who was actually kind of an uncle figure to Ariana Grande, because I know she's from Boca.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Miami, I have some connections there. I know Adrian Arsht.
Right.
There you have
A
it.
big Miami presence, right?
Sure, big time.
Yeah.
I've met her once or twice. She's wonderful. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. And
Yeah.
That's so cool. Of course you know her.
the last tour I saw over there was the second national of Jersey Boys back in 2017 before they
At the Arsht Center.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was one of my dad's employees. My dad owns a cigar shop in Bay Harbor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, one of his employees.
He's got you if you need cigars. For anything.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay.
She got me into the opening night cast party when the show went over there, and most of that cast ended up transferring to New World Stages later
Wow.
that year, and
That's exciting.
we really connected with them.
And did you get to so you've been in, obviously before the pandemic, you were in touch with them in New York City too?
Yeah, so we're really
Great.
really close with Aaron DeJesus.
Yeah.
And he's actually my acting coach right now.
That's great.
Yeah, he's really really great, and me and Gia have done scenes together, with
Yes.
with Aaron coaching us. It's been really really great. This show, doing this podcast has really granted us to talk, the opportunity to talk with amazing people and make
Like
some
you.
amazing connections, like of course. And it's such an amazing honor to have you here, man. You're
Oh,
It
I'm glad.
really is.
Well, this is fun it's funny because I still, all these years later, when I was your age and even younger, I always I kind of knew that the arts are difficult. So I've always been a reader of like success literature and
Yes.
those kind of books and things. So
Me too.
I go on, I try to get my 10,000 steps in during COVID. And so I'm listening to a success book right now, just to kind of refresh things. And literally just a couple hours ago when I was walking, they said, don't ever be afraid to reach out to people who have already succeeded, because most people who already have succeeded like to look back and talk to people who are on their way. They like to talk about what they did to succeed, and I think I definitely, well, maybe you'll find out. I qualify as one of those kind of guys.
We would love to hear anything you have to say. Any advice or anything about too? Yeah, that would be wonderful.
So I'll tell you. Can I tell you one thing I did when I was an undergrad at? I went to Brown University, an undergrad there, and I was a senior, and I was about to move to New York City, and or I intended to. I did summer stock first in Maine, and I reached out to a Broadway actor who I admired from cast albums and stuff. His name was Howard McGillen. Does he ring a bell with you? Yeah. So I reached out to him and I talked to him for about an hour. It might have even been an assignment for us seniors. And he was very gracious and talked to me and was actually at a kind of, which you'll find, and you probably will talk to people who will tell you this, but he was at kind of a low point in his career, which for a lot of actors is just like a couple months, but you feel like you'll never work again.
Right.
And so it was really interesting for me to talk to somebody who was at a low point in his career, but by my standards had done all these Broadway shows, and I listened to his cast albums and I was like, I can't believe this guy is down on himself, you know, because he's so great and he's a big figure to me. And so I always remember that. And then not too long after we had our phone conversation, he'd gone into Phantom of the Opera on Broadway to play Phantom. And I think he did it for a really long time. So, you know, you never know what's around the corner.
Right.
I have a piece of Jersey Boys memorabilia that I have waiting for you that I have right here to show you.
Let's take a
Please.
look.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So you guys are 25.
Mhm.
So I took a gap year. I guess that's what the Brits call it, but
Yep.
between university and college. And so I was 1 year older than most who go to New York if they don't go to conservatory first. And so I'm trying to remember. So I was probably like 21 or 22 or something. And I was doing my first equity production. I wasn't equity yet. I was an apprentice. So I was getting equity points, which people are really into those things. You know, you can either, someone says you're in my show, you get your equity card, or you can like gather points by being an apprentice. And
Right,
making,
for the EMC.
there you go.
Kind of,
yeah,
yeah.
making like $75 a week or something, and reverse commuting from Manhattan from Washington Heights to Princeton, New Jersey, to the McCarter Theater. That's where I was getting my first equity points. And I don't know if you know, but the McCarter Theater is one of those regional theaters that won a Tony.
Yep.
And so we were teching the show, and you know, we were in the lobby of the theater where they have the Tony Award under this big museum glass. And I remember 22 years old, I'd never seen one before. And it was just like, oh, a Tony, you know, I'll never forget it. It was so exciting to see one, and, you know, in real life. And so I'm here for you guys.
Oh my God.
Spinning. Oh my God.
Taking action on it.
Heads or tails?
Yeah, right. So I'll tell you that you can't take this to Safeway and buy groceries with it. Okay. So you can win a Tony, but you still have to like figure out how to get your way through life. But the fact that I was like a 22-year-old kid with stars in my eyes, and you know, at the McCarter Theater, they have photographs up on the wall, or they did then, of actors who became famous who played the McCarter Theater at one time. And like Lucille Ball, there's a picture of her when she was a chorus girl. She was at the McCarter Theater. And so when you start out having a real reverence for the history of Broadway, and then you have your own token like this, something that you used to like worship at the altar of, and then you know, it's this one of the most exciting things that ever happened to me. And every time I see this, I remember that first Tony that I saw at the McCarter Theater. So
wow.
So there, I just showed you mine, and I didn't get to play with that one, you know.
Right.
Well, of course, yeah.
You didn't get to
look at it through the glass.
Yeah.
It's like and You Can't Take It With You by Kaufman and Hart, when Grandpa says you can't take it with you, you know.
Yeah,
definitely.
But
you know, so it's that would
yeah, I wonder who's gonna get this one. When I'm the grandpa that's, you know, passed away, and I don't know.
No, well, knock on wood, God forbid.
Well, sometime it's gonna happen someday. Anyway, until then,
museum. It'll be in a museum.
It's nice. Yeah. Nice. It's a nice thing to have in my house wherever I go, you know.
Of course. Yeah. How's California?
It's good. It's, you know, it's a little on the colder side today. So I took my walk earlier in the day instead of waiting until twilight after I walked the dog. So I had my 10,000 or 11,000 steps already. So
Proud of you. Yep, that's the hardest
There
thing to
we
do
go.
these days. I love the second I
No.
turned 25, I started saying that. Oh, I got my steps in today. And I'm like, no, I'm 25. I gotta start doing this stuff.
Well,
But,
when
yeah.
you know, when in the future, if we ever know anyone, you know, if we, hopefully we don't, but if we have another pandemic someday and we have to talk to some kids who didn't go through this, we'll say, you know, start walking now
Now.
because
Yeah.
because you're going to notice some differences. You know, she's just sitting around for months and
True
months
that.
watching
Yeah,
TV.
getting this the spread a little
Wow.
bit.
You
Yeah, I
know,
know.
it's crazy that it's been more than a year, and you know, things are starting to look up, and you know, we're starting to get back to some semblance of a normal. And I'm really happy that, you know, that you've been, I know you had a lot of stuff get canceled or postponed rather, but we're really happy that you've been able to do some shows, man. And we're really
Yes, set the
happy that
space.
you have this wonderful show coming up and you're here to
Yeah.
talk to us about it. And we just want to know a little bit about, I mean, we know the what we know about you as a performer from Jersey Boys. And it's so funny. I went to go see um Rick Ellis's show, My Very Own British Invasion, and at the Paper Mill, and I saw your picture on a wall in the production of The Chosen, and
Oh, that's nice to know they have that up there.
yeah, man, I pointed it out. I went to go see it with I went to go see British Invasion with my friend Lucas, and I was like, is that John Lloyd Young in a
Oh, that's so
production of The Chosen?
you
And
know it.
There
I
you are.
Beard and do I have a beard, like a beard and all this stuff?
yeah, you played, did you play Danny or
Yeah,
Ruben?
Danny. Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I
Wow.
don't know if you guys, you know, I don't want to presume how much or how little you know about theater history, but I have a story about The Chosen that was exciting for me. So when I was a little kid doing theater and sort of community theaters and stuff, I was always fascinated with the special effects makeup or whatever, or
Yeah.
Mhm.
hair pieces, whatever. I didn't have a full beard when I did The Chosen, but even if I had, um, I, that was like an Acts 2 thing. So I had to put
Right.
that
Right.
on. Well, so when I was a kid, you know, a little younger than you guys, coming up in New York doing like summer internships with Broadway productions and stuff, I had to go and do errands and everything. And there's a famous makeup artist and wig maker. His name was Bob Kelly.
Mhm.
Ring a bell? There's a
Yeah,
Mm,
makeup brand, theatrical makeup, Bob Kelly.
I know the
okay.
name. Yes.
Yeah. So when I was a little kid, you know, I used to do like effects makeups and things because I liked theatrical makeup and movie makeup and stuff. But Bob Kelly was one of the brands that you could buy, and I had a lot of Bob Kelly stuff. So I remember when I was an intern for some theater production companies, I was sent on an errand to Bob Kelly's studio. And do you know what a wig block is?
A wig
Not,
block? No,
no.
I don't know
Okay.
what that
A
is.
wig block is like a form, you know, like when you see in a tailor shop, like the form, but it's just a head. And a wig block is made to be the shape of different actors' heads. So there's a
Oh,
whole
Okay. Yeah.
there so that you can build the wig on
On
Faith
the head.
Prince's head.
now,
You know,
Right. Okay.
okay.
so
Yeah.
they
It's the
Okay.
keep
mold.
them.
Yeah. Okay.
They
Right.
keep them in stock.
Yeah.
So you walk in, and on these dowels up on the wall are all these famous heads. You know,
Yes.
just the head shape
Uh-huh.
of Faith Prince and Nathan Lane, and all these people, right?
Mhm.
Well, I didn't see Bob Kelly himself then. He was still living then. But when I did The Chosen, I had to go in and I had to get fitted for my payas and my
Mhm.
beard. And I went in, and the person was, you know, fitting me for all those things. And in a recliner, like a recliner as old as himself, was Bob Kelly sitting there
Oh,
Oh my
observing
gosh.
this. And I was like, you know, I was an actor doing a play, but I wanted to be a makeup artist when I was a kid. And there was Bob Kelly was sitting there. I was almost more excited that Bob Kelly was there than like years later when I'm at lunch with like Donna McKechnie or somebody, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
because that was a childhood obsession for me, you know.
Yes.
sure.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Wow. Yeah. Well, thank
I
you for
digress.
No, not at all. See, this is what we want to hear because you were like you had that child obsession just like we had like with a bunch of other things going on, and I think of course we were obsessed with Jersey Boys when we were younger, but now that we're older, like we really are students of this show. So it's definitely a delicate balance when people have a podcast, because people could think, oh, well, you're just a fanatic, and like we were, but now we're not. And
It's matured into
yes, like
something
we really want to get to know
special.
you,
Yeah.
and the fact that you really did work your way up the ranks, and then your Broadway debut was for Jersey Boys is just so incredible, and we give you all of the credit and love in the world for what you did. We know it could not have been easy at the top, and
Mm.
and really I listen to the cast album every day, and
Mhm.
it's just incredible. And I know, so of course with your art as well, I actually studied art history a little bit too. Obviously not, you did it in Spain, so you're the guy. But I know that you always used to go to MoMA because it wasn't too far from the August Wilson. And I went there 2 weeks ago, and this was like
Oh,
right before we knew that we were going to be interviewing you. And I actually got this bag. It still has a tag on it and everything. If you're open,
oh
I would
yeah,
love to mail it to you. Because this art
sure.
has saved my
Yeah,
life.
my mailing address is on my website. Very easy to
Okay.
find on the
Yes.
Great.
contact page.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll definitely send
we'll
it to
send it
you.
over to you,
That
Yeah.
man.
would be great.
It's
Because art
Well,
saves lives. And
I brought a piece of my art also in in anticipation of our little shindig here.
yes, please.
I brought my Jersey Boy
I
suit.
love it.
that's what
It's
got you starting to do all this?
Well, oh, and also I don't for the for you guys because you're more into Jersey Boys, but there's some people who follow my art.
yeah.
Um, I sign everything with a thumbprint.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
cool. What
So
a
that's my reclamation of a what was ultimately supposed to be kind of a humiliating experience of my guest starring spot on Glee.
yeah.
They cut my thumbs off. Well,
Yep. Yep.
so for more than a decade, I reclaimed that my thumb and
I
I
love
signed
it.
everything with it.
Oh my God, we just watched
We
the
both
episode
rewatched it. Season
again
1, episode 3.
yesterday. We love Glee, and once the worlds collided, like when we were younger, once we realized that the worlds collided, Glee and Jersey Boys, John Lloyd Young on Glee, it was just like it was
The
so
whole world
funny.
exploded. We exploded.
Well, that was not a very nice joke at my expense, but I took it standing up and you know and took it into another arena. Now, I'll
Damn
tell you
right you
something.
did.
One of my idols is Andy Warhol, and
Yes.
Mhm.
he actually, you might not know this, but he couldn't succeed in fine art in New York. He was an illustrator for magazines like selling women's clothing and shoes and stuff. So he was one of the top commercial artists in New York, but they wouldn't accept him. He actually felt really bad that Jasper Johns and like Robert Rauschenberg didn't accept him into their artist club.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until he got to LA, and Irving Blum, who had a very famous gallery on La Cienega called Ferris Gallery, gave him his first show that debuted those soup cans. And next door was a little grocery store. And the guy who owned the grocery store put a bunch of real Campbell soup cans in the window and said, "Get the real thing for 62 cents," or whatever. It was making fun of Warhol. So Warhol went over to the store and took a real can of Campbell soup and like signed it for the photographer. And it went all over, and he was like famous overnight as an artist, because he took the joke that was on him and turned it around. So I'm not going to tell you how many hundreds of thousands of dollars of art I've sold over a decade, but you can imagine a decade and everything signed with my thumbs that I still have. So
Damn right.
so up yours, Ryan Murphy.
A salute.
Big salute.
Exactly.
That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. Well, also I have to thank you too. You're the first person to say to us, I'm not going to presume what you know or what you don't know about theater history. Thank you, because people assume we don't know shit. And I'm like, that's not true. So thank you for presenting your answer in a very kind way, really respectful to us, because we don't get that a lot.
Seriously. Yeah.
Hey, there's a lot of
Yeah.
theater history that I don't know, and like most stuff past
Yeah.
like 1990.
Mhm.
I mean,
But we're all learning. No one knows everything. But going with Glee though, so did you meet your music director on Glee?
no. So
No.
that's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
So I was doing art openings in Boca
Well, at the Boca Museum.
at the Elaine Baker Gallery in Boca.
I
So
wonder
it was a
if-
gallery that, although the Boca Museum has pieces of artists that Elaine Baker represents. You know
Okay.
those swimmer figures with that look like they're really wet,
Yeah.
bathing caps.
Yes.
That's one of, I think, I forget her name,
Mhm.
Helen, I think, or something. That she's an artist is represented by this gallery. Or the Boca Resort.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know how there's an art gallery in the Boca Resort?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Elaine Baker Gallery. So they
Oh.
represented
Okay.
my art at one time, and I was doing an art opening not at the resort space, but at their larger gallery.
Mhm.
And it turns out that the stepson of Elaine Baker, who founded the gallery, is a music producer. And so I was doing an art opening, and he got to know me and my manager at that time. And he's London based, but American, but based in London.
Mhm.
And he was friends with all these artists like Tracy Emin and these famous British artists and stuff. So, he knows art, but he also knows music because he was a successful music producer.
Right.
And he had collaborated with Tommy Farragher before, who just so happens to have worked on all that a cappella production for Glee. That was sort of Tommy's specialty, was like the warbler stuff. That's what he first got brought on to do, that stuff, because Adam Anders, I think that's his name, who did all the other music production, was like really busy with all the other stuff. So Tommy came on, and Tommy and Arthur had a #1 Billboard hit together with What Becomes of the Broken Hearted, the re-record of that was from the Fried Green Tomatoes movie.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Uh-huh.
So they had worked together, and Arthur knew that Tommy was in LA and that I was in LA, and he hooked us up, and we did my debut album, Not Singing as Frankie Valli, My Turn. And Tommy and I got kicked off with that album, and then we've worked together ever since. But it just is a coincidence that he worked on Glee, and we both know all those people, clearly.
Right.
So.
Of course. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd just shown up in Washington D.C. to play
Right.
Wolf Trap.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I was an hour off the plane, and then they canceled it.
So
I
sorry.
slept in the hotel and went back to LA the next day.
The next day. Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and now we're all here talking about your new show, which is great. And well,
So-
I was going to say thank you for being such an advocate. I know the word advocate is a little overused today, but you are for women, and for, because every woman we've talked to, especially Katie O'Toole specifically, said that you're always so respectful of your scene partners. And for example, with the pizza scene, like, you're like, this is your scene, this is your time, like you do what you want to do, and you'll follow their lead.
They always felt so supported and so respected, and so and they all have nothing but amazing things to say about the way you treated everyone.
Yeah. So
Well, they were great to work with, and and then even Renee in the movie too, like that her scene,
Right.
Now, I mean, I think we were both kind of cute in that scene in our own
Absolutely.
way. But that's her big scene, and sometimes you're better in a scene when you give it to the other person.
Yep.
And I also, am no dummy. I know that no matter what I did in the first 3 quarters of the show, the last quarter of the show was mine anyway. So it's, the last guy standing. So I could afford to do sort of a slow burn. And and also, how adolescents are kind of not fully formed yet, and they're a little awkward. And so that also is part of my approach to help Frankie in the aging, is to leave him sort of like floating in the wind a little bit in the beginning, and let other people take the lead because he doesn't fully own himself yet, and that's I think from an actor's perspective, that's part of what youth is you're not fully secure yet in who you are.
And
So I let
Love
that
that.
show, and I was happy to let other people take the lead, especially in that scene.
Mhm.
She's older than him, and she's taking the lead, and he's not sure what to do.
Right.
So you got to throw it to her if you're a good actor. And then on top of that, it's nice for them to say, I try to be a good person.
yeah.
I'm still Sicilian on my mother's side, so
I'm
if you
sorry.
F with me, then I'm going to turn the screw maybe.
Mhm.
I sometimes have a hard time not doing that, but if you're respectful to me, I'm always going to be respectful to you. Always.
And building on what you just said, I think because, that whole not fully formed thing yet. And then when he gets to act 2, when you're in winter, when he sings Bye Bye Baby, it makes it so much more poignant when you start singing that verse when you're upstage. It's suddenly everything gets faster and you're getting thrown off. And because he's in such a state of, he's in such a flux state, he's going from woman to woman. He's getting pulled. I mean, he's getting pulled 5 different ways from Sunday also.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Tommy liked to be dramatic. He's like, it's all the club owners trying to fuck you 5 ways from Sunday, but really he was getting pulled by Mary. He was getting pulled by Francine. He was getting pulled by Lorraine. He was still on the hook for the $1 million.
Exactly.
And
In that neighborhood.
in that neighborhood. Exactly. So
That's really my favorite stretch of writing in the show, because because the melding of, not just because it's Frankie's section, but that specific section where everything's falling apart and he's going from scene into song into scene into song is so cinematic,
Yes.
and Brechtian. And I love the fact that you have the breakup and then you're in a song that has to do with breaking up, or like the last band member leaves and you turn around your own shoulder and suddenly you're in concert singing Stay Just a Little Bit Longer. That stretch of writing and direction, even the lighting, everything in that stretch of the show, I think, is just such a wonderful crystallization of everything else that's good about Jersey Boys, but so compact and happening at once. And for an actor too, it was really important for me to age Frankie as the show went along, because the real story of Frankie is that he became the solo artist, so he grew and he was older by the end of the show. He loses a daughter, all those things. So I found that because of Howell, and Howell Binkley, the late Howell Binkley, I can't believe it that he's passed away. The lighting designer, his lights for winter were really stark. So I couldn't see it, of course, while it was happening to me, but I figured out that the stark lighting, because we didn't have time to do age makeup or any of that stuff, the stark lighting also helped to age me. And some of those moments were going from a scene into a song were so beautiful. Clearly all you have to do is turn your shoulder, the lights change, and you're in a concert, or you're in a hotel room before, those microphones coming up, and the audience seeing the microphones coming up, even though the scene is ending, and that tingle of anticipation of knowing that you're going to see one of those sort of cinematic transitions again. That was just a really fantastically exciting part of that trajectory of the show for me. And and for the audience too, because I've seen the show now with other people doing it several times, and it's that part is just so well crafted.
Oh, absolutely. And stay, let's hang on, bye bye baby. Like everything in life tends to happen at once. And that's why well, for David and myself, the reason why like we love this show is because the older we get and the more stuff we go through, everything can be boiled down particularly to that section. with the blocking, with the song, with everything comes together, and it's just so gorgeous.
That was
And-
also my favorite. You know that section where, oh, by the way, Joe Long passed away today.
Yeah,
Today,
we
yes,
heard.
yeah. We
So
talked about it,
so
yeah.
let's thank Joe
Say a
Long for
prayer,
his
yeah.
contribution. And because I was going to mention another really fantastic part of that section that I loved was "I'll be strong," that part.
Yeah.
Carry on, and Joe Long joins the group, and they walk down,
They do that
dance down
Yes.
stage.
Oh my
Uh-huh.
God. I
That's
love
my favorite
that.
section to do physically. It feels so cool. And
Really?
yeah, and Sergio and I, because I was not a dancer before this, so Sergio Trujillo and I worked for a month before anyone else started rehearsals, just to get me up to speed, because I was an actor and singer. The dancing stuff, I didn't know, training, whatever. So in the studio, when Sergio and I were working, we learned a few things that I could do that were kind of cool on me,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
these things and that
Yeah.
stuff,
Mhm.
what we invented, together. And then it
Right.
became, what all the companies do, obviously, but that was my favorite because it was built like on me with stuff that I could already do really well, and so that there were just a lot of really cool things in that section that were a lot of fun to do. And I liked the slow burn.
Mhm.
One time a critic came, or not a critic, but like some sort of journalist came, and it became very clear when we were working with them as a cast, it became very clear that they were lazy and they didn't stay for Act 2.
Ah.
It's because the way they were talking about the show, and a lot of people really loved the character of Tommy DeVito. I mean, it's a fantastic theater character, but it was clear that they didn't know that by the end of the show, Frankie's the standalone, solo artist, and has this really exciting part.
Mhm.
And I couldn't believe, I was like, it's so clear. Oh, he doesn't know that. So anyway, I was always really okay with letting everyone else take the stage and have their section, because I knew that by the time it got to mine, it was like a slow fuse, and then the dynamite explodes, and everything I love doing and everything I wanted to do, and all the serious actor parts of myself, the aging all the way to the end of his trajectory, the things that I had learned from like Anne Bogart, the viewpoints, which is acting, a way of approaching the stage, yourself physically on stage. I already knew before I was working with Des and everyone else, I was like, oh, this is cool. So I know when I get to this part, to age myself, I will move slower and stand stiller. Those sort of things. And that part of the show enabled me to use these techniques that I had as an actor, not doing musicals before, to really kind of pop the character in a way that I thought, if I succeeded with it, would be really unique in musical theater acting or whatever. And so I never felt like I had to prove anything the beginning of the show, because I had the first 3 quarters of the show, because I knew I had that explosive, like amazing stuff at the end. I mean, how am I going to find another part like that ever? I'm not, probably. And I can live with that.
Yeah, and I that's why it's so amazing that you came back to do it again on Broadway, and then you went to the West End to do it again. I'm sure that must have been such a joy for you.
Well, what you guys were just saying about as you get older, when I came back, I was 5 years older. So I understood the older Frankie stuff better. I understood that what it felt like to have career setbacks or whatever, to not have things go the way you want to go or whatever. So the kind of bittersweet, like difficult stuff that I had to play, I understood better as a human being, because I was older, I had more life under me. So in a way, maybe, by the time a show is that old, like people are into the new shows. Like I think it was Book of Mormon or something.
Oh yeah, 2011. Yeah, that was. Yeah.
I think so. So so the audiences it was still a hit show, but it was mostly my own knowledge that I had actually was giving a richer performance, at that point.
That's amazing.
Well, and also with the movie, of course, that you shot in 2013, right? You shot it 2013?
Yeah, I think near the end of 2013.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you were mentioned just the aging and slowing down, the first thing I thought of was you turned slower in Who Loves You in the movie than, of course, on Broadway.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Check that out.
Was that like for film? Because of course it's a different way of approaching the camera, but what do you think? Maybe you did the same thing there?
Well, both.
Both, yeah.
The other thing about that too is that we were doing that kind of fantasy effect of we de-age.
Right, you actually, yeah, right.
So, and that was actually a discussion Clint Eastwood and I had, which was a cool discussion because I got to have some input into the movie. And I told him, I said, I did this show maybe 1,300 times on stage. And my opinion is one of the reasons it's such a huge hit is because there's no way to age the guys. So when they come back at the end, they're the guys that you rooted for when they were younger, and they kind of look the same at the end. So they're timeless, right? Yes. If we end this movie with a bunch of old guys, they're not timeless. So by de-aging us, we got to end with the impression we started with, and then the characters are timeless. So
wow. And that was your idea?
I'm not going to say it was my idea.
Okay.
I'm going to say
yeah.
That wouldn't be smart, but no, it was not my idea. But
okay.
it was
discussed.
But it was our discussion.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. I love it. Well, thank God you did. I think that definitely made the difference.
It made such an impact. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really brought us exactly what you said, the guys that we rooted for at the beginning. It was right back there. And then what really accentuated that was seeing you guys singing Sherry under the street lamp.
Right. The curtain call.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that always the plan to have that scene at the end?
No.
When was it added?
There were discussions along the way and about that finale on Broadway. Clint didn't go, he saw a few of the productions, but he didn't sit there and analyze them. I don't think, he worked from the script. And so, the original script for the movie didn't have that, what I affectionately call Clint Eastwood's only Bollywood ending, it didn't have that. But Sergio and Des McAnuff's ending, by being a part of it, I had done some analysis of it myself. And I think similarly to what I just said, I could tell from the inside that everyone coming back kind of in peace and reuniting, even the dead guy, coming back.
Yep.
And so letting that kind of go and just having this exuberant number with everyone that you've gotten to know throughout the show, coming back together and all being there at once is a very satisfying feeling. And so ultimately, probably in the discussion of that dynamic with the show on stage, that probably influenced what ultimately ended up happening in the movie. And another thing that never happens on a film is that you hardly ever have all the cast together at once on a film.
Right.
It shoots on different days. So that was really special too, I was the only person in the movie that worked every day of shooting. But some people, Christopher Walken was there for 4 days, that's it. And some people, like the girls, the Angels or whatever, they never met Christopher Walken because they didn't work that day, and they weren't in scenes with him. So this big number that we all did was the one and only chance for a lot of the actors to ever see any of the other people who were in the movie. And I thought
Of
as a theater person, you start, of course I knew this about film, but
Yeah.
when you're in the theater, you're with the cast every day, the whole cast. Even if someone only makes an entrance in act 2 or whatever, you still see them sign in, whatever. So you're all together all the time. I think a lot of people presume that if you're in, like, for example, Grease, the movie.
Yeah.
People probably who are not in our business probably just assume they're all friends and they all know each other. But if it weren't for that last number,
Yep.
we go
We
together or
to-
whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of them probably weren't even on set together at the same time. So
Yeah.
that to me, in terms of the personal experience of making the movie, was very satisfying to be someone who came from Broadway and to have at least one day where your whole cast is there.
Yeah. But we loved it. You're right. It was such a special thing at the end.
That was the best.
Exactly. Yes. Well, I know we only have you for a few more minutes, but we really would love to talk about your style for your concerts.
Okay.
What is your criteria of a good cabaret show or a good concert? Because you're the king of concerts.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I kind of learned this indirectly from Frank Sinatra. If he didn't, no matter how, because in his day, a good song, everyone would cover it. All the major artists would cover a good song.
Right.
And they'd all have their version. It wasn't until Frankie Valli and that era that people had, like, this is my song, and no one would touch each other's songs. Sort of an ownership kind of thing happened in the business, It didn't exist before. So Sinatra, at one point, I think when he was with Mia Farrow, there was a song, and I don't remember which song it was, but one of those classics that everyone was covering. And she said, "You should sing this song." And he said, "If I can't feel the song, I can't sing it." And so for me, the song has to be exciting for me.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not exciting for me, it won't be exciting for the audience. Or, you know what, actually, I've been doing this long enough that now they would never know. But I don't, but if I'm like that baby that, doesn't like broccoli. You can bring the spoon up to my face, but I'll be like, So I'm like that with songs. So I have to really want to sing the song and really love the song, either melodically, usually it's melodically, and then lyrically. Like some of the songs that I put in my sets, several years ago when I started doing these, I had loved the songs forever, but really had never known the lyrics because I'm musical first.
Oh, okay.
First.
Gotcha.
So it has to be kind of thrilling or either thrilling because it's an exciting, exuberant song, or in a lot of cases, thrilling because it is so emotional and touching. So those are my criteria that and then this show that I've got coming up May 1st is the first time ever, and I can't believe it, in like all these years that I've done concerts, 15 years or whatever since I've been doing this, that I let the audience choose the songs.
The entire set list.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I ordered it in a way that would make sense, but
right,
all the songs in the set are the top vote getting songs that people send in suggestions, and I let them choose it. And that was really interesting, actually, really interesting to see some Jersey Boys songs not there at all, that I thought that I would get in trouble if I ever went out and didn't sing them in a concert. I probably still will, but I mean, even this time, but I was floored. I mean, not one person voted for Sherry. Couldn't believe it.
Not one person?
No, I thought there'd be mutiny if I didn't sing that. Not one person asked for that.
Well, I think that's a sign of the audience's evolution and them traveling with you on this journey and realizing that your catalog of music, obviously you love Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons and all of that, all that amazing music from that era, but they realize that you are more than the sum of your parts. We just went to go see Michael Longoria in concert at the Green Room 42.
That's a great place.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love
Love
that
it
little
there.
space.
It's awesome. And so
Yeah.
his was the first concert back.
Okay.
And he didn't sing a single Jersey Boys tune,
Nope.
and we weren't mad.
No,
We
we
weren't
want
mad
to
because
learn more. Yeah.
he was such an amazing performer. He really sold each number, and we were like, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
he does enough of it with the Midtown Men. So
Yeah, I guess you might be right that there. I mean, uh, I've said this before, but if you go to see Patti LuPone and she's doing a concert, she doesn't sing "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." You're gonna leave and you're gonna be like, God, I wish she had sung it, even if you loved the concert. So
right.
I always do "Can't Take My Eyes Off You" or "Sherry" or something.
Okay.
I pretty much always do it, just because there's always that one or two or three people who came because they really want a piece of this thing of yours that they love so much. They want to see it live, or they want to see it, in real time, because these live streams are in real time.
Sure.
But I can give you a little kind of exciting heads up for this May 1st thing.
Please.
Okay. I'll tell the full story in the concert. So now you guys probably know. So I do a concert, and I also have really popular meet and greets, but they can't be doing that during COVID. So what I've done instead is I have an after party, and I do. It's always something interesting and fun. That's just a relaxed, like, let your hair down, interact with the audience somehow. So this after party, we're gonna do. Tommy Farragher and I are gonna work up song suggestions that we don't usually do. So there are some winners from those suggestions too. People made suggestions of songs I usually do, songs I don't usually do for the after party. And so in the after party, there's going to be a song that was this close to making it into Jersey Boys on stage, but never did. A Frankie Valli song, and I'm going to do it in this concert for the first
One
time.
of the ones that got
Got away.
away. Even though
that's
so funny.
right. In the program, it says the ones that got away. Now,
Yeah. Those
I
have
have
nothing
a very
to do.
interesting story about
Right.
that
Please.
and the negotiations, but I'm not going to tell it to you. I'm saving it for the after party.
We'll
And
be
then
there.
once I debut it there, I'll probably tell it 1,000 million times, when this song then becomes part of my repertoire. But the first time I'll ever sing this song is going to be May 1st in this after party. And I'll tell the story of what song it is and how it still a little bit exists in Jersey Boys.
In the underscoring.
Okay. Yeah, and what's so funny is I think Ron Melrose told us that the ones that got away in the playbill have nothing to do with like show songs that were like ever going to be in the show. He was like, oh, these are songs of Frankie Valli's catalog that Bob and Frankie just wanted to put in the playbill, that just like here's more, the body of their work. And that's right. A little known fact.
Right. And I'm sure that Ron also told you a couple of them, before my time with the show, when they were workshopping at La Jolla, a few of those songs, they tried to fit into the show, but decided it didn't work.
Right.
Like Candy Girl, I think.
Candy Girl's in the underscoring. Candy Girl's playing in the diner scene with Frankie and Bob.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So there are things that survived as underscoring, but you have to really be listening for those.
Right.
Well, you should take a, I did a, not really trivia or like a quiz or anything, but like, so I'm a musician myself as well. And between me and Gia, we've seen the show about 25 times. And over those 25 times, we've figured out like, oh my God. So in Act 2, when Lorraine is talking with Frankie, there's two songs playing. So Silence is Golden is the first song that's playing, and then that goes into Dawn. When Nick starts, sometimes it just clicks with people, and then Dawn is playing again when Lorraine and Frankie break up. And then the biggest one, this is so amazing.
I'm kind of having a memory that Candy Girl is also like a transition song when they're after the shooting, the fake shooting, and they're taking the thing da 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 da, or I think.
Oh no, okay, you're talking about bum 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 when Frankie and Mary get married. What's actually playing is no, because
All
I thought it
remember
was
is
Save
that
It for Me.
there's some fragment when I used to have to push that car seat off.
Mhm.
You know, when after the Frankie
Oh.
gets scared in the back of the car with the fake shooting,
Right.
there's some sort of underscoring there that Ron put in that is one of their songs. I thought,
Okay.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
canon.
You know what's so interesting about talking to you guys about this
Yes.
is like I thought I knew this show in and out. It's been I actually I've moved on. I can't believe it. I've moved on. I don't remember everything now. You know, the
So you
actor's
moved on, we
nightmare where
moved
you have
in.
to do the show and you don't know your lines, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
That might happen to me if they put me on stage and said, "Okay, go do Jersey Boys."
Uh,
Yeah, but maybe not. I think
yeah,
I
but
would.
maybe not.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Well,
that's
if you ever need an
hysterical.
archivist, we got
We
you.
got you, man. We got you,
Okay.
baby.
I-
And
I'm the type of person who would want that. So don't
Oh,
be careful
really?
what you offer.
oh,
Oh,
don't
John,
tempt us.
sir, we got you. Well, I wish we had a little more time, but basically, this is what this show is for. And so we got to interview Ron Melrose and Richard Hester and really like ask these niche questions. That's why we're here, because you've done so much press, maybe too much press, and we do want to make it like very like specific.
Yeah, but you know, I don't really think that I talked about a lot of these kind of things with them because you guys
Right.
are
That's exactly
Yeah.
what
different type of
what we're
interviewers.
going for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So everyone go buy your tickets for John Lloyd Young by request, live from Las Vegas. It is streaming live from the space in Las Vegas,
Woo!
Saturday, May 1st, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And the after party will be after 10:45 p.m. Eastern, 7:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tickets for the show are $30.
I think it's $100 for both.
Oh,
for
$100 for
both.
both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds like a lot of money, but that's paying a front of house staff that otherwise would not have a job,
Mhm.
and musicians and the technicians and all that stuff. So it's I think it's a fair price. You know,
Absolutely.
and if you don't think it's a fair price, well, this is what I do for a
Yes.
living, guys. So it's like, and remember, everyone in my boat got everything wiped off their schedule because we can't have live audiences, or we haven't been able to for a long time. So this is, Tommy and me and the people here. This is
Yeah.
what we do. So if you love something, look, like I love bookstores, independent bookstores, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's one in Seattle that is one of my favorites in the country. It's like the Strand Bookstore of Seattle.
Uh-huh.
It's Howell's Books, and they were in deep trouble during coronavirus. I bought 20 baseball caps. 20
There you go.
Howell's baseball
There you go.
caps. I have $400 worth of baseball caps out of my storage facility, just because they sent out an email asking for help, and I'll always wear them. I wear baseball caps all the time.
Got
Yes,
your
I
Warner
see your
Brothers
Warner
baseball
Brothers.
cap right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I'll give them away to someone. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I'll make it into like a charity thing or something.
Would you want to do a giveaway with us? We can do that if you want.
A Powell's bookstore.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. I just have to go into storage and get one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
We'll work it out.
How are you going to do it? Oh, I'm just let's just say yes.
Okay.
And you guys figure it out with your audience, and then
Okay.
I'll put one in the mail to whoever wins.
Perfect.
You got it. Let's do it.
Part of the Powell's bookstore, it glows in the dark.
Come on, people.
Come on.
Okay.
I
we're
was in
gonna do a
the
giveaway.
bathroom one day, just didn't turn on the light. I was just washing my hands after walking the dog, and I was like, "What the heck? What? Glows in the dark."
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
and John, the right people will be getting the tickets, and our audience and our listeners are definitely those people. So for everyone, if you want to get tickets, if you haven't already, the link will be in our link tree on our Instagram, and of course we'll post it on every Facebook comment that we can. So
And whoever gets the Powell's hat has to do like social media post or whatever and tag you guys and tag me and tag Powell's. Okay.
Yep.
That's the deal.
Salute.
That's the deal.
All right.
Yep. On your
Um,
feed, please post it, and your story. That works for us.
And
Right, a picture of themselves wearing it, right?
exactly.
Yes,
A picture of
yeah.
yourselves wearing it, and we'll get that sent out to you.
Yeah, thanks guys, and you know, good luck in New York, and let's in our next conversation talk about what it is to be a young actor, and you know, hear
That
about
would
what
be
you
great.
guys are going through
Oh, thanks.
outside
Yes,
of the
please.
pandemic, which is insane and once in a
Right.
lifetime, hopefully once in a lifetime.
Yeah, we would
All right,
love
well,
that.
great talking to you guys, and
You too, John.
nice to reminisce and play with my Tony in front of someone who would appreciate it.
Anytime.
Be well, and all the other colleagues of mine that you end up talking to, you know, send my love to them,
Of
and
course.
especially in the context of what's been happening. So,
Of
Of
course.
course.
all right.
All right.
Okay,
Be
take
well,
care.
John.
Thank you, John.
Bye.